Isn't it one of the strangest things about being a person? You know your life started at birth. You've got the photos, you've heard all the family stories, but those first few years, for you, personally, they're just a blank. So where in the world did those memories go? Let's dive in and see if we can solve this thing.
Okay, first, just take a second, go on, really think about it. What is the absolute earliest thing you can remember happening to you? Is it a birthday, a specific room, maybe getting a new toy? Got something? Now, how old do you think you were?
So, if you came up with something around age 3.5, you are pretty much right on the money. Across study after study, that's the average. Everything before that, your first word, your first step, all of it is basically secondhand information. It's like a universal black hole in our personal timelines.
And yeah, there's actually a name for this, infantile amnesia. And we're not talking about just forgetting a few details. This is a complete wipe of our personal story. So the big question is, what's causing this massive memory blackout? To figure it out, we've got to look at the clues, starting with the very first suspect. All right, so our investigation is going to start way back, over 100 years ago actually, with a name you've probably heard.
Yep, Sigmund Freud. He was one of the first to really try and crack this puzzle, and his theory was, well, it was a theory. His big idea was that our baby memories were basically too much to handle, too stressful, too traumatic, so our brain just shoves them deep down into our unconscious to protect us.
But there's a huge hole in that theory. We don't just forget the bad stuff. We forget everything. The good stuff too. The birthday cake, the feeling of being held, the totally boring everyday moments. Modern science has found zero evidence for this kind of mass forgetting on purpose. So if Freud was wrong, we need some better clues.
And that leads us right to our first real clue. Let's call it the software problem. Think of your brain like a brand new computer. Before you can save any files, you've got to have the right software installed first, right?
Well, it turns out that for making lasting memories, two of the most critical programs are basically still buffering. You need a solid sense of yourself and you need language. And as a baby, you just don't really have either one yet.
I mean, think about it, right? To have a story about your life, you kind of need a main character, you. But that solid concept of I, the feeling that the you who woke up today is the same you from yesterday, that doesn't really click into place until you're 4 or 5 years old. Without that main character, experiences are just random flashes with no one starring in the movie.
And then there's the other big piece of software, language. It's like the filing system for our memories. Words let us put things in order, you know? This happened first, then that happened. They give us labels and context, like at Grandma's house. Without that, everything's just a big, messy soup of feelings and sights, almost impossible to file away, and even harder to look up later. Okay, so the software is a no-go. But that's just part one. Now we have to talk about the actual hardware, because there's a pretty big problem going on there too. Deep in your brain, you've got this little thing called the hippocampus. It's basically memory headquarters. But when you're a baby, that place is a total construction zone. I mean, it literally doubles in size in your first 2 years. It's just too immature, too busy being built to reliably save files for the long term. And here is where it gets really wild. It's not just that the hardware is under construction. The construction itself might be the very thing erasing our memories. This is called the neurogenic hypothesis. Your baby brain is creating new brain cells like crazy, and the theory is that all these brand new cells are basically bulldozing the old memory connections to make room. So you see this incredible trade-off. In infancy, when your brain is exploding with new cell growth, your long-term memory is at rock bottom. As you get older, that growth slows to a crawl, and suddenly, your memories become way more stable. It's like your brain is saying, look, I can either build the library right now, or I can start cataloging books. I can't do both.
But hey, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean babies are just blank. Not at all. In fact, scientists put babies in fMRI scanners and saw something amazing. When a baby sees something new, their hippocampus lights up like a Christmas tree. They are making memories. The save button is getting clicked, but the hard drive just isn't formatted yet to actually keep the file.
So, case closed, right? The software wasn't ready, the hardware was under construction, mystery solved. But wait, there's a fascinating twist. Because even though we can't remember those years, it doesn't mean they just vanished without a trace.
This quote from researchers at Vanderbilt University just nails it. The stuff that happens to us as babies, especially things related to feeling safe and secure, has a huge, lasting impact, even if we have no conscious memory of it. See, these experiences aren't forgotten like you forget where you put your keys.
No, they are literally built into the blueprint of your brain as it's being formed. They shape the neural pathways that influence who you are, your personality, how you handle stress, the whole shebang. They are the emotional foundation of you.
And this isn't just some abstract idea. You can actually see it. Research has shown that kids who experience high levels of stress early on can end up with a physically smaller hippocampus later in life. And that can affect your mood and your memory for the rest of your life. So yeah, those forgotten years, they matter. A lot.
All right, so let's bring all the evidence together. Let's deliver the final verdict on the case of our missing baby memories.
It turns out there's no single smoking gun. It's a perfect storm of development. First, the software wasn't installed. We didn't have a solid sense of I, and we didn't have the language to build stories. And at the exact same time, the hardware, our hippocampus, was that chaotic construction site, constantly overwriting old files as it built new ones.
So maybe we've been looking at this all wrong. Maybe we don't really forget our baby years. It's more that our brain had a much more important job than just keeping records. Its job was to build the foundation of the amazing, complex person that you are today. Infantile amnesia isn't a glitch. It's a feature of becoming human.
But all this leaves us with one last tantalizing question. Are those memories really erased forever by that storm of development? Or are they still in there somewhere, just locked in a file format that our adult brain can't open? Researchers are actually trying to figure that out right now. Which makes you wonder, doesn't it? Maybe the first pages of our story aren't gone. They're just waiting to be decoded.